The MCU is back, and that is not an exaggeration. What's up, guys? Welcome to Far From Blake, and today we are talking about the new MCU Thunderbolts. I just saw Thunderbolts. It was cutting straight to the chase. Awesome. I absolutely loved it. If you did not see my out of theater spoiler free reaction, I pretty much just go in depth with that. And I, in that video, cover the central themes of what this movie was to me. And what they tackle is very prevalent and relatable. And that's what makes this movie very special and unique in the MCU. It tackles mental health, depression, kind of goes over loneliness and just finding purpose in life and understanding the value of your own self-worth. This movie is weighty, but it is still fun. It is still action-packed, and it's so character depth. Like it's awesome. I thought this movie was fantastic. We are going to get into the spoilers. This is your final spoiler warning. If you have not seen this video, click off this video. Maybe go check out my spoiler free review if you haven't seen the movie yet, because now we're getting into all of it. Okay, so one of the major spoilers of the movie, which was already spoiled ahead of time, most people figured out, one, from trailers, not seeing the character too often, and the Avengers Doomsday casting announcements kind of implied that this character wasn't going to make it. Yes, as we saw, Taskmaster got killed off pretty quick into the movie, but I thought Taskmaster was pretty cool in the scenes she was in. But it just got ended very quick. It makes me wonder if they didn't kind of spoil their own movie with the Doomsday Counts announcements and blah, blah, blah. Maybe they could have subverted our expectations and put her in there. I don't know. I don't know what you could have did, but you kind of were. I was waiting for her to bite it. I didn't know she was going to do it in the way she did. It was kind of shocking in some ways, but I wonder if that would have really shocked people if that didn't happen. The spoiler beforehand. If you weren't spoiled by that, well, good on you. I'm curious to see what you thought about that, because I thought it was pretty entertaining. Now, there's a lot of things that I loved about this movie. One, all those central themes that I brought up, but it starts with the characters, and Yelena, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow's sister, who we were introduced to in the Black Widow movie, who's also in Hawkeye, does a fantastic job. Florence Pugh playing that role of Yelena. They put her at the center stage from the very opening scene, making it clear on this big team-up movie filled with misfits, filled with characters that, let's face it, a lot of people don't really know, because a lot of people didn't really follow post-Endgame. Now, I followed everything up to this point, and, you know, there's some misses, there's some good things, but Yelena was a character that I really did enjoy and love. I love Red Guardian. We'll get into all the other characters as well, but Yelena was definitely the right choice. Florence Pugh is such a great actress, and she kills it. She knocks it out of the park, and right from the opening scene, it sets the tone of what this movie is about. Being lonely, having loneliness, going through depression, and trying to find purpose in life. And like I said, that's a relatable central theme that almost anyone can resonate with. That's one of the main central themes in one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, Spider-Man 2. Kind of goes into that. Now, this tackles it kind of from a different angle. This is more of a depression type thing, feeling void, feeling empty, right? And they use that as a central theme for the main villain, who was kind of the main villain, but he was the, you know, puppet string behind the female actress who character that I need to look into what her name is, but the character who was revealed in Hawkeye, who was assembling all these misfits to do her dirty work, because I don't really know what her motives were. I would have to think about it again, but she's evil. She's trying to get her own money, power, and publicity. What this movie does very well is that if you haven't seen the previous work, whether you didn't watch the series that some of these people were in, like Captain America Winter Soldier, to see John Walker and stuff like that, I think this movie does a great job at introducing you to all these characters and making you care about them, or just be interested or entertained by them. I think all of them really kill it. John Walker was hilarious. Red Guardian, David Harbour kills the show once again. He was such a comedic relief, but also he has such range and depth with his relationship with Yelena, right? I think all of them bring something to the offer. I think Ghost and her powers are really cool. I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp, the original version. A lot of people don't like that movie. I thought Ghost was kind of cool then, but I think they do such a better job with her in this movie. This movie, like I said, it was so much fun, but there was so much heart into it and depth to where this movie is actually has some weight to it, and it mattered. It mattered a lot, not just for the central story, but also for the MCU. This is the first movie in a long, long time that feels like it actually matters for the grand scheme of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that's huge because it feels like we haven't had any connective tissue in a long time. That's been the biggest complaints of the MCU is that it's all just discombobulated and everything's all over the place, right? And nothing really matters. And there's some great gems like I mentioned in my last review, Guardians 3 and No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine, but they're more of like not gimmicks, but like James Gunn's Guardians 3 is a trilogy that was based off characters we already knew and loved, and it was the send off to them. Obviously, we were gonna like that if they killed it. Spider-Man, the most popular character in Marvel, and it was a multiverse story and all those stuff. Deadpool, Wolverine, you bringing back all the X-Men characters. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds. It was a Ryan Reynolds project. It's different. This is the first MCU project I think in a long time since post Endgame. It's probably the best one. It's definitely in conversation. Just a standalone movie that isn't a sequel to something, and kind of in some ways brand new characters. A lot of these characters have never even been in a movie. Some of them have only been in series before, and a lot of people haven't watched those series. Heck, a lot of people didn't even watch some of the movies they're in because they gave up after Endgame. But because of the central themes of this movie, I think it's just a relatable movie that anyone can get into. And the action is great, and it's still funny, it's still fun, it still has good comedic tension. It's the good magic of the MCU, the magic that we haven't seen in a long time, where when they use comedy, they use it well. It's not just jokes to make jokes or just over the top left and right like Thor Love and Thunder that kind of completely ruins the movie. This is a serious movie, a very weighted movie that makes you really think about your own emotions and things that you have gone through in life, because it really puts the heart of yourself in these characters and what they are going through. But it doesn't stop it from being a group of misfits who are the people who you don't expect to be the heroes, but they are all we got right now because the Avengers kind of aren't no more. And that's what the movie kind of leads into in the end. I love how it finishes off where they say these are the new Avengers, and I actually got hyped on that. I can't believe they sold me on the Thunderbolts being the new Avengers, but they did. And it only worked because of how well they treated each one of these characters and how powerful of a story it was, to where you took a bunch of characters that nobody really cared about and everyone was saying the MCU's dying, and by the end when they're announcing these are the new Avengers, you're kind of hyped for it. You're kind of like, okay, I'm cool with this. It's a little it's not the same, right? We understand that they make fun of that the whole time, but I can roll with this. I'm seeing where we're going, right? And the post-credit scenes, we're gonna get into all that. Like I said, this is spoilers. The post-credit scene actually mattered for the first time in a long time. We see the Fantastic Four jet possibly coming down to Earth, where our new Avengers are. Which obviously, as we know, the next Avengers movie, it's really the Fantastic Four, it's the Thunderbolts cast, and then we have the OG X-Men cast. And you have a couple other people. You have Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, you have Anthony Mackie's Captain America, which they alluded to that he's trying to create his own Avengers team, so there's some sort of beef there, even with Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, which that's interesting, and I'm curious to see how they're going to play that out, that dynamic, right? Winter Soldier and Captain America kind of beefing right now, and Junior Varsity Captain America with what's his name, John Walker, right? So there's a lot of cool, interesting questions to be had that you actually want answers for. That's the thing too, is they made questions in the past that you didn't want answers to or you didn't care about. they made you care about these characters again, and I want to see Anthony Mackie's Captain America interact with these Thunderbolts now that the Thunderbolts are established. I'm excited to see this new Fantastic Four movie. What's going to happen that's going to transpire that's going to make them come down into our world? Because as we were told, Fantastic Four is supposed to be in a different multiverse, different universe, right? And it's going to come down and meet with our new Avengers team, the Thunderbolts. That's exciting. And that's good leadway into the next movie because, to my knowledge, I'm pretty sure the next movie after Fantastic Four is Avengers Doomsday. So they're actually setting the pieces together for the first time since Phase 3. For the first time, really, where movies are actually connected in this universe. That's awesome. But yeah, I loved it. This is so huge for the MCU. I've been a defender of what the MCU has been over the past couple of years. I'm not saying it's been great. Like I said, this is the first time it actually matters and is important. But we had good projects like Deadpool, Wolverine, and this and that. But we had this. We just had Daredevil Born Again, which they're releasing a season 2 next year. That seems like it matters. Hopefully that does something with Spider-Man in the future with the Spider-Man Brand New Day. Who knows? I don't know. But MCU is finally cooking for the first time in a while, and I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't leave without mentioning also Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier. He killed it. He had so much aura when he came in and started fighting off all those military guys that were trying to get our new Thunderbolts, and that he took out our Thunderbolts and then they reunite. He brings a certain gravitas, Sebastian Stan, to the team that they kind of needed because they're all, like I said, they're all misfits, and Bucky has his past that puts him in that same realm, right? These are the bad guys. These guys are like the Earthbound villains of like kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, but they're all like have a really dark past, which I guess Guardians kind of did too. But they're, street level in some sense, where they've all done bad things at certain times, making them kind of anti-heroes. But Bucky is kind of known to be kind of an Avenger already. He's been the Winter Soldier. He's kind of been redeemed, and having him come in and bring in more of that leadership and that more familiar face, they got to pull these guys who weren't taking each other too serious, especially because of the Red Guardian and whatever. It was good. I loved all of their dynamics, and I want to see these guys together more often. They seem like they built something that is actually something you care about. And last but not least, Sentry. I thought Sentry was really cool. I thought the whole gimmick of Bob was really funny. And he also not only had such cool, powerful powers when he had the suit on and he's basically going Superman on all these guys, but then when he becomes the Void and he starts basically killing off, but what we thought killing off, he's just taking them out and he's putting them into the darkness. That whole scene and everything that goes into that, it's a different way, because I remember people saying, how are Thunderbolts going to be the villain this powerful? Because this movie wasn't really about, oh, who can beat him up and this and that. It was about, going into your own darkness. What the heck just happened? Where did that thumbs up just happen? I have no idea what just happened. So, I have no idea how I just did that. We're going to ignore that. So, as I was saying, the Thunderbolts was, this whole point of the movie was in that final act, and the whole movie in itself started with Yelena and her loneliness, and she meeting the loneliest, the most depressed guy who really has no one, who now got all this power in the world on him, but now he doesn't know how to control it and blah, blah, blah. And the only way to defeat him was to use kind of like the good in him to fend off the darkness, and by doing that, he needed the camaraderie of friendship and family and a sense of belonging to where they're hugging him and they kind of bring him back out of the darkness and back into the light. And that is just a very, very powerful message that I think can tug on the heartstrings a little bit. And that's why I said this MCU movie, it had sauce, it had weight, it mattered for the grand scheme of things, and also it's just a movie that I think anyone could watch and go, wow, that was a good movie. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Comment down below, what did you think of Thunderbolts? Did it meet your expectations? Did it blow it out the water like it did mine? I did believe in this movie, but I didn't know how like the central themes were going to be so weighty and important for an MCU film. This is the first movie in a while that doesn't feel formulaic. It actually feels like it has something to say, and I appreciate that. It's the first movie that feels like it has an actual directorial vision to it. Not that other MCU movies haven't had that, but it's definitely one of the few that actually, like I said, has a real unique story to it. But yeah, subscribe if you want to see more MCU content. I'm going to make possibly a Thunderbolts character ranking. I'm thinking about making a post Endgame ranking, so all the movies from post Endgame. I don't know if I'm going to include the series because that makes it a little bit more complicated, and I don't know. I mean, I would love to include Daredevil Born Again, but I'll probably stick with movies. I might rank the phases, so phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, rank them in order what I think is the best phase. And I think phase 5, when you think about it all said and done, I would have to look at the list because phase 4 and 5 are kind of, I don't really know where the cutoff is between them. They're not as distinct as phase 1, 2, and 3 to me. But there's some good movies in phase 5. I'm pretty sure Guardians 3 is in phase 5. I liked Deadpool and Wolverine a lot, and now you got this. So phase 5 really isn't that bad overall. It didn't have a lot of connective tissue. This is the first one that does, right? But overall, phase 5 wasn't too bad. It was really phase 4 with all the series and stuff like, oh, Daredevil Born Again was in phase 5 as well, technically. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to make a ranking, and I'm going to have to really break it down and look at all the movies and make my decision, because yeah, so subscribe to check that out because I think that should be a fun video to debate now that we have 5 phases. Again, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.